how you do this business is unlike anything else you've ever seen. I mean, once again, I could tell you story after story. Fortune 100 execs, top-level execs in big companies coming into a group like ours and trying to impose their corporate ideas and they just don't work. What makes this business work is unusual, okay? Fortunately for you, I've been studying the unusual for 22 years. So I know what makes a deal work. And a lot of it, and I'm talking a lot of it, has to do with human nature. But once again, we don't study human nature. Maybe a couple of us took a psych class here and there, but the reality is we really don't study it. Every single solitary person I know for the last 22 years in the network marketing industry who's made millions and millions of dollars a year, every one of them, without exception, became a massive student of personal growth and development. They would go and see Tony Robbins, Jim Rohn. I mean, they were always listening to tapes, watching DVDs, going to live seminars, investing tens of thousands of dollars, understanding themselves and then understanding all these people that they're dealing with. Well, what our company did is going, look, you know what? That we know that's a common denominator. There's no doubt that that's a common denominator. Here's the problem with personal development. No one thinks they need it. How many of you know who Tony Robbins is? Have you heard that name? Tony Robbins had a TV show on for a while. Did you know that? On NBC, I think. I mean, that's a big time deal. It ran for 3 weeks and it had horrible ratings, got canceled. Did that happen because Tony doesn't know what he's doing? No, it happened because the average American's going, I don't need that. Let me tell you something. The average American needs that. Like more than you could humanly possibly imagine, but we don't know what we don't know. That's the problem. So what we're going is, we just know that we know that we know that all successful networkers focus on that. So look, what we're going to do is bring that element of training right into the mainstream of our company, which, you know, very few people in the industry have ever done before. And we're going to couple that with specific skill sets you need to learn. So how exactly do you invite people? Once again, I know this is a VIP day, so I'm sure many of you are good at what you do already. You have a lot of confidence, you have a lot of success in what you do. So once again, if you just say, well, there's a presentation, I'll invite people I know, they'll all show up, and you do it with no coaching and training. My brother went to Phillips Exeter High School. He graduated early, went on to Ivy League Law School, graduated, was an assistant DA in Manhattan, very young, busted a massive mortgage scam way back in the day, was on not the cover, but a featured story in Time magazine, and on and on and on. Real successful guy. Ended up having his own law firm. Many years later, he decided to get out of law, decided to get into business. Started to teach him how to invite people. He didn't need any of that. Come on, I was his punk little brother, and he was him, and I'm me. So what the hell was I going to teach him? So he went ahead and he invited 47 people to a presentation we're doing, and one guy showed up. You know, and then once again, he was like, wow, this just doesn't work. And I said, look around the room, Tony. There's 850 people here. If it doesn't work, would I blink them here? It's like the difference is you see these non-attorney, non-people who are in Time magazine, these average people, since they didn't think they knew everything, they came to our training events, we told them how to invite, and when they invite people, 5 or 6 out of 10 show up because they know how to do it. You know what I mean? What a simple concept. So my recommendation would be, look, we have got a training program. If you're new and you've never done this before, plug into it. The problem is, in the real world, the guy making 20 grand a week has no interest in teaching you and no time to teach you because he's busy making 20 grand a week, and he wouldn't teach you because you're his competition. If he's in real estate and you're in real estate, you're his competition. If you're in stocks and he's in stocks, you're his competition. Over here, whether you're on his team or not, he's going to teach you. We have a very cooperative nature. Now, once again, 2 reasons I'm telling you this. Number one, so you can come and learn this, okay? Learn this unusual business. Don't just assume you know it. Come to as many trainings. Commit to come to as many as you can for a year's time to really learn what's going on. But then once you've gone through it and you've learned what's going on, you're going to find yourself going back again and again for this reason. A, it's fun, social, okay? But B, you're going to realize very quickly that if you take a brand new person, you get them on your team, and you try to work with them, teach them, and train them yourself, which you should be doing to some degree, it's a lot of work. How many of you have ever raised children? How many of you ever got frustrated raising your children? How many have ever had a child who you're telling them exactly what they should be doing, and they ignore you and ignore you and ignore you and ignore you? Then they go to school and the teacher tells them the exact same thing, or their friend's mom or dad tells them the exact same thing. They come back to you and announce they've made a brilliant discovery, right? Once again, that's a human nature thing. That's a personal development thing. So you can't teach and train your own people. Not only that, if you spend half your time selling product and getting people in your business, then half your time trying to teach and train them, that's not the greatest use of your time. You'll find out that if you go to the events and you bring your people with you, see, if you come to the trainings and you start learning from Johnny who's knocking down his 20,000 a week, and you get to where you're making 2,000 or 3,000 a week, that's awesome, but it ain't 20. You know, and by the time you're up to 2 or 3, he's probably up to 30. So why would you not have him training your people? You know what I mean? Why do it yourself? Just, once again, we have a system. In most network marketing companies, I know some of you guys know what I'm talking about. You spend half your time getting people in and half your time trying to get people from quitting. Most people do a business very part-time. They keep their full-time job, so they do this time commitment-wise very much like a hobby. How many of you have a hobby like I do? Like I love to play tennis and golf. And how often do we get to do it? Well, you know, got the kids, got this, got that, you know, not nearly as much as we want to. Well, if you are going to do this business and make a hobby like that, man, you better really have good instruction, because the hours you put into it, you obviously want to get really, really good results. So it's unusual, guys. You have a stool. Just think of a stool that you sit on. And 99% of the companies in the network marketing industry have 2 legs on their stool. Now, if you have a 3-legged stool with 2 legs, that's not going to be super stable, obviously. The 2 legs are the product or service they're selling. You've got to focus on the product or service you're selling. You can't, I mean, you're not even in business if you don't have a great product or service. The second thing they really focus on is the compensation plan. Because what makes this industry go is, instead of companies spending hundreds of millions of dollars on advertising, they bring us in and we do all the word of mouth advertising, and they pay us a big chunk of the money for doing that. So companies have to have a really good product or service and a really good comp plan. And any company worth their salt has that, and they've put all their time, energy, and resources into that. We said, you know what? Every bit as important as product and service is training. Because if you have a scalpel, that does not make you a doctor. Okay? Can you imagine you walk in, instead of going to medical school and going through the whole deal, you just buy a scalpel and now you're a doctor? How many would like to have someone operate on you who had not been to medical school, but they did own a scalpel? See, once again, just because you have a great product or service doesn't mean you know how to sell it. Just because you're in a company doesn't mean you know how to do it. Okay, so the objective here is, we're going to give you the great scalpel. We're going to give you training to make it available for you to know everything you want to do. And if you just want to make a little bit extra money and maybe just sell product and that's it, great. If you want to sell the product, build a little bit of team, great. If you want to build a big statewide team, great. You want to build a big national team, great. You want to build a worldwide gigantic team and make the kind of money Johnny and Matt and Wes and some of these other folks are making, we can teach you how to do that too, because guess where they got to learn how to do it? Right here. So it's a solid major part. It's the 3rd leg of the stool. And when you look at any other opportunities, or when you go out and you start sharing this business with other people and they tell you how great their company is, I virtually guarantee you, whatever they're telling you about only has 2 legs. It doesn't have 3 legs. And ultimately, what's going to take us to the finish line here is we have world-class training to go along with great products and great service. So I would strongly recommend you get to one as soon as possible. I'm a big action person. I believe the thoughts determine what we want. Only actions determine what we get. So the training system really is a major component to what we're doing.